Welcome back, and we are doing chapter 7, and I'm going to use exercise number 6. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start with my base, and I'm going to choose the front plane for this part. Choose that. Turn my planes off. And for this one, the location of the origin on the part, there's not really a well-defined location, so I'm just going to start drawing from the origin and come this direction and kind of rough sketch the profile of the part. Come down here, up a little bit, and finish up the profile. Now from that, we have to add some relations. First one I'm going to add is these two lines. We want those to be parallel. That way it matches the rest of the part so that it's parallel. Now, these two lines, because the dimension in the book is the exact same, we can make those equal and minimize the number of dimensions that we need. So let's go ahead and start adding dimensions. And we'll just start like we did with the lines, and we'll start going around the part. So this one needs to be 2.25. From here to here, that is 0.5. From this line to this line is 1.5. And actually, that line goes away, and we take this point and merge it with that point right there. Okay, good. We're set. And then this distance here from there to there is 0.75. And then we already have this distance because we set this equal to this side. Next, we want from, let's see, it comes from the very top, comes down to this point, and they're dimensioning it over here, and that needs to be 1.5. Next, we need to locate this point vertically, horizontally, so from this line to here, that distance should be 5 inches. And there we go. Just took a little bit for SOLIDWORKS to catch up. Next, we need, what else do we need? Should be okay, but okay, so they're parallel. Oh, yes, there's the dimension I need. I'm missing the dimension from here to here, which is also 0.5. There we go, and now I'm fully defined. Just for practice, I'm pulling the dimension out, and I'm going to pull this out there as well, which is a good practice to get into because we can use these dimensions later on when we pull this part into a drawing. Alright, so that completes this profile, so I can exit the sketch. I want to go mid-plane just because I like to have my part symmetrical about a plane. Not because it has to be for this particular part. And that distance would be 3 inches. I can click OK. And there we go. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put my holes up here in the top plane first. So I'm going to need an extruded cut. And then I'm going to right click and go normal to. And then I'm going to place my circles. I'm going to make those equal to each other because they are equal circles in the book. Next, I'm going to place a dimension, from this edge to the center, and just basically mimic the dimensions that they give us in the book. And then I'm going to go from this point to this point, and that is 1.5. And then I'm going to go ahead and dimension the size of these holes at 0.5. Then I need a dimension from this edge to the center, and that is 0.75. Now, this one needs to be fully defined as well, but we want that to be in line with the other hole, so I'm just going to pick the center point and select the other center point and make those vertical to each other. And now we're ready to go because we were fully defined. So now I'm going to exit the sketch, turn that isometric, and I want to just go through all instead of a blind however far. And there we go. Okay, it just took a minute for SOLIDWORKS to catch up. Alright, so next I'm going to do an extruded cut in this surface, and again I'm going to turn that plane normal to, and now for this one I'm going to use a slot tool. Looking at the slot and the dimensions they give us for the slot, the standard straight slot makes the most sense because they give us the location of the two ending arcs. If they gave us the center point of the slot and one of the center end arcs, then we could use this one, but they didn't give us that. So I'm going to choose the straight slot, and then I'm just going to pick a point, come down here a little ways in the direction of the slot that I want, pick a point, and next it wants me to pick how wide the slot is. And I'm just going to pick, because we're going to put a dimension to determine all of that. So then I'm going to choose dimension, and the location of the slot is in relation to this edge here. So I'm going to pick that edge, I'm going to pick the center line, and that needs to be 0.75. Oops. There we go. Now, the other horizontal dimension that I am given is the width of the slot, and that's 0.5. Next, from this edge to the ending arc center point, I'm going to drag that off my part there, and that is 0.75. Next, they give us the distance between the endpoints, or the center points of the arcs, and they give us that as, 1.5. Alright. Now we have another slot that we can put right here, but this one's a little different. I am going to go ahead and choose the straight slot again, and I'm going to choose a point here, and I'm going to come this direction. I'm going to pass the edge of my part and just get me a horizontal slot like that. Now, it doesn't like that relation, which is fine because we don't need that relation because we already got an assumed relation of this center point and this line that will center this arc on the part for us. And looking at the dimensions in the book, that is exactly what we want anyway, so I'm good. I'm going to drag these out just a little bit farther so they're not being covered up. Next, I'm going to place a dimension to the center point, and that is referenced off of this edge, and they tell us that is 1.75. The other part they give us is the width of the slot, and they tell us that that is 1 inch. There we go. Now the only thing left that we really need to do is fully define this and basically give us a point for this endpoint here. Now, a lot of people like to place that point on the top edge of this part, but and this is why I like to look at the part normal to the surface, because if I place this point on this edge, yes, it'll make it fully defined, but if you notice, our arc starts here, and it's not gonna fully cut straight all the way down the part, which is why we don't want to place it there, but we can place it coincident to the bottom edge of the part. Now we can clearly see that it's going to cut straight all the way to the edge of the part, and then this part we don't really care that it's going to cut space in an arc. And so now we have a fully defined sketch, and it's going to cut our part the way we want it to cut. So we can exit the sketch, and then we don't want blind, we want through all, and then click OK. There we go. And we can turn our part to look at it, and sure enough, it's nice and straight right there. Let's turn that isometric, and we're good. So all I have left to do is hit save, and this part is ready for submission.